So it's Friday, doing another little coffee talk. I'm doing what are we doing? Brown sugar, shaken espresso. Gotta love the oat milk, and it's a little less sweet. Perfect after a late night of work. I also got a dozen donuts to celebrate a moment. I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it. Let's see. The word of the day can be, how about, I don't want to use the word respect. I want to use something similar, but not quite that, because that's, I don't know how to put it into words. Maybe I'll think about it, or it'll pop into my head before we wrap up here. So I think I've briefly sort of alluded to the fact that, my daughter, who plays lacrosse, has not been treated very fairly by her high school coaching staff. She plays club travel ball at a very high level, super competitive. She has been asked several times to play up to 2 grade levels. She is a highly supportive teammate. She's very versatile. She doesn't just play one position. She can play several. She's a hard worker. She's thick-skinned for the most part. Gets injured, plays hard enough to get yellow cards, which is kind of a good thing, kind of not. But seeing her emotionally shrink and physically underperform due to the restraints that her school coaches kind of put on her has been heartbreaking. It's been gut-wrenching. It has been truly one of the most frustrating things that I've dealt with, because there's not a lot that you can do as a parent at this high school level that wouldn't have some sort of repercussion. We've done all the things, we've followed all the steps, we've had the meetings, through the different chain of commands, all at Sophie's request. And to this point, it feels like a whole lot of dangling the carrot in front of the horse. And she's done all the things, and then they kind of give her a little something, like just a glimmer of hope, and then dangle the carrot further. And it hasn't, that might work for some different players. I don't know who, but it's not working for my kid. And we've just had to kind of suck it up and tell her, you know what, leave it all out on the field. When you are out there, you leave it out there and do what you do best. Come summertime, she's a gridiron girl. She is a whole different player. Not even just player. Her mental and emotional capacity completely changes when she is surrounded by that group of people. It's literally night and day, just across the board, generally speaking. Like, her whole demeanor changes, and she is so much more confident and sure of herself and lighthearted and playing for the love of the game. And in her daily life, she carries that with her off the field. So we keep telling her, we're like, let's just get through this, and we got just end of the season's right around the corner, get through this, right? So it's been a rough season. She actually spent a week out with a concussion, which was, a large portion of their season also. So that was hard, but obviously for the best. So to sum all that up, it's been rough. Then last night, let's just say too, need to make sure it's understood. Her varsity team, which she plays JV fully, but then was also moved up to play varsity. So she is what they call a swing player. So she plays part of both games, which is a lot, but some players do it. It's very common. So she has played her best. Her JV team did great. We celebrated a lot of stuff there. I got a lot of great footage for her there. The varsity team went on to win our league championship. So best of the best in our region. And they've done it several times. Last year was a very big year of that also. We had lots of great talent on the field. And this year, she got to be a part of that, and didn't really get a ton of playing time, but it was, it's nice to see her share in their excitement and all of that stuff. Well, last night was their first tournament game, postseason tournament game, because now we're moving on. And she got a lot of playing time. And I was just happy, so thrilled for that, right? I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Not only that, and I'm happy for my kid, right? I'm thrilled for my kid because it's justified. And I'm like, finally, let her go out there and shine, because she will perform for you. She will do the things you want her to do. You just have to allow her to do it. And bring it out of her. Pull the best out of her. She'll step up and she'll take on anyone. So I was excited about that. But then also, after a really hard season and feeling very frustrated, not just for my kid, but for other kids in her same position that just sit on the bench and cheer their little hearts out for their teammates without themselves really being able to participate, I watched those players all take the field, and they all were loving it, and the coaches were working on different things to show off their different talents and try to get these players their own goals. And I literally was trying to film stuff, and I was on the verge of tears for pretty much the entire second half of the game. Just feeling like, where was this the whole season? Why does it have to be at this point that you're able to do this? Now, granted, and I don't mean to take anything away, but the other team wasn't quite as strong of an opponent. So, I understand that part. You can't really flex different muscles if you don't have the opportunity. At the end of the day, coach still wants to win, and that's understandable. But to have these players show up day in and day out, all the practices, in all the weather conditions, literally rain, sleet, snow. I'm fried and sunburned. This is a sport where you play and you sit in every weather condition, and they show up and they do their best, and then they sit the bench and they don't even get a sniff. It's just hard to watch. And I understand at this level, not everybody gets a trophy, and coach wants to win, and that's totally justifiable. But at the end of the day, these players also have spent their blood, sweat, and tears to support the team. And then when they don't get the opportunity to, have the ability to at least step on the field, at least have a moment, it's so heartbreaking. So to see all of them have those moments, and the celebrations of those little things that they would each get to do, just my Grinch heart grew 3 sizes that night. It was such an emotional roller coaster. Truly it was. So I say all that. Get home last night after all of that. And of course we won. So we're going to play again next week. But I was working late. And pretty much everyone in the house is asleep. I'm pretty sure everyone was asleep. The next thing I know, about 1 a.m., the dogs start going nuts, and I'm like hearing commotion outside, and I look out and I see, and it's dark, and I was staring at a computer screen, doing my stuff, so I'm like not really recognizing what's going on, but I see this large SUV with all the windows down. I'm like hearing the thumping music, sunroof's open, limbs are flying out the windows and stuff, and I see a man running out of my front yard shouting, which in the second that my ears heard it, I couldn't hear what he was saying, but he shouted something and ran out of my front yard, hopped in the SUV, and they took off down the road. So I have my head stuck out the window, and because we live at a cul-de-sac, so I was like watching as they drove back by, because I was like, well, if something nefarious is going on, I at least want to have like a clock a license plate, or something, whatever, some kind of key thing that would be I could report about. But they're waving and stuff as they drive back by a second time, and I'm like, what just happened? So of course I go out and I look, and I've got this sign in my front yard with her name and her number and ACC champs. God, I'm getting all choked up about it again. And I had that moment where I was just like, God, she did it. I also should say, she got her first varsity goal last night. Not that she hasn't made attempts. She has made many attempts in the short time that she had some playing time and was out there for them, but she made her shot, beautiful shot. And literally it was like game stopping. Everybody was like, jumping on her, cheering for her, because they know how hard she worked and all that stuff. And announcer calls her name. I was like, oh my gosh, it was great, right? So then I see this sign last night, and it was just like that. She did it. She got, she's here. And I know, like, I knew everybody on the team was getting signs, but it was like, okay, she's a part of it. There's a recognition. And I don't know who was responsible for those. And once I saw the sign, I realized the man was yelling ECC champs, which is what the sign says. But it was just that whole, like, I don't even know, let's say 6 to 10 hour shift in perspective, a shift in respect, because you lose a lot of respect for people who are in charge of certain things that don't perform to your expectation, right? So over the course of time, if a person is repeatedly disappointing you or not performing to expectations, you tend to lose. And see, respect is just not quite the right word, because like you can work with a person, and just because they're not doing their job right doesn't mean that you don't respect them. But like there's something, whatever this word is. So whatever that feeling is, over the course of the season, it had depreciated. But after last night, I kind of regained some faith. Maybe it's faith. Maybe that's what it is. Because you're putting blind faith into someone, expecting them to be able to guide and support and do all the things needed, to get to a certain goal, right? So I regained some faith last night in these people, in these human beings that for such a long period of time just really felt like they were not seeing the bigger picture, not seeing things through other people's eyes, not listening to the feedback. And we are not, I need to make this perfectly clear, we are not those parents that are like, I don't care if my kid trips and falls on her shoelaces, she deserves to play, like, no. Like, we are parents that tell our kids, whatever you do, you do it to the best of your ability. You earn those different privileges. It is a privilege to play. It is a privilege to be, asked to play at higher levels and all of that stuff. I mean, even in school, you are expected to do your best. We cannot sit there and say, my kid deserves an A if you are doing D work. I will advocate for my kids 100% if they are not being treated well. But also, if my kid is slacking off, I am not going to go to bat for them and be like, oh, well, they deserve more. No, you deserve what you get. But if you deserve more than what you are receiving, and it is noticeable by the general public and people outside of your school network, and people are asking and inquiring what is going on because this doesn't add up, it says a lot. And you're hearing it over and over again. Parents of her other teammates going, what does she got to do to see the field? I don't understand. Like it's a lot. So to see what I saw last night and to experience that moment, seeing that sign and going, maybe this is the turning point. I don't know what had to happen. I don't know what clicked in them last night. And it might have just been because they had the opportunity to flex some muscles against a weaker opponent, which kind of sucks, but I mean, I get it. But like, what happens as we move on if that's not the case? Then do we go back to exactly what we've been experiencing the rest of the season? I mean, I know everybody wants that trophy. We got the trophy, like we got that part, but like, I don't know, like what, let them play, be fair, I have faith, and I got to do that. That should be my mantra until next week. I have faith that we will see a repeat of last night and that atmosphere, because it was electric. And it's hard to have faith in people that consistently let you down. So I don't know. Maybe this is manipulation, right? Because isn't that what it is? Person constantly lets you down and then does one little thing to keep you hanging and make you think, I see the light. They're changing. And if they go right back to what they were doing before, it's classic manipulation. I don't know. Not that I'm calling a spade, but possibly. At this point, I don't know. But I'm choosing to have faith. I'm choosing to feel my little Grinch heart go, okay, they're, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the turning point. Please let it be the turning point. Anyways, that's today's coffee talk. Let's all have a little faith. Let's choose to have faith where it can be earned. Does faith have to be earned? I don't know, but that's sort of what it feels like. I don't know. Like I said, the word is weird. It's not respect. Maybe it's not even faith, but let's go with it just because. Hopefully you have something to feel a little surge of faith or respect in someone that you didn't quite think you had before. I'm not saying try and go look and dig deep to find something in a person. But if it's there, if there's a moment let's hold on to those moments and hope and have faith that that's truly the person that they are, not what they've been consistently showing you up till that point. So, cheers.